It's the final Friday of February, and we've got a daily beat for you. How you doing? Ben Shields hanging out with Dakota Morrissey. He's the news editor at DailyTrib and Dakota. So let's talk about fire danger. It's been dry. It's been pretty warm for February, and it's been windy. So that is a nice fuel for fires, and we had a big one in northeast Burnet County this past weekend.
Yes, the fire is now out, but it did grow to about 233 acres in far northeast Burnet County. So right on that kind of county line between Bell and Williamson, but it got pretty big, pretty fast. And it's just an example of how dry it's getting right now, just like you said. And because we had so much rain this past summer and fall, there's a lot of tall grass and a lot of dry foliage out right now. And according to Burnet County Emergency Management, all of that is just primed to burn. So if we keep going, more and more days, more weeks without rain, those fuels are going to ignite at some point.
Now, looking in the future, not getting too into the weeds because I'm not a meteorologist, but La Nina, which has caused this warmer and drier than normal winter, is finally going bye-bye. It's about to get into a neutral where we're finally going to see maybe some more rain later on. So right now, but we still have fire danger, so we got to think about that first.
Right, especially in the winter, you think, hey, it's cold. You're not thinking fires, but really, if it's dry, it can burn. So
and
even
windy.
if even if it's chilly out, there's still that fire risk. Because like I said, that fire, it happened on last Saturday. I mean, it grew to 230-something acres that afternoon, and then eventually they were able to contain it by Monday.
And it wasn't in our area, but there was a big one in Gillespie County, about 1,000 acres a few days back. Just off of 16.
Yeah, and then Llano County was getting involved in that. So everybody's kind of on high alert. So if anybody's listening, just know your local firefighters are ready and they're primed to kind of face this fire danger until the rain comes back.
So read more about the fire danger and what you can do to prevent it at DailyTrib.com. All right, so another week and another story on transmission lines. They're forming a commission to fight it.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we're talking about this transmission line so much is because it's a huge topic at the county level right now. I mean, these lines, I've done some more digging. For anybody who doesn't know, the state is trying to build a transmission line through Burnet County, essentially. They're trying to bring power from central Texas to far west Texas. But after looking at some of the research they've done, a lot of this power is to do for private entities like cryptocurrency mining operations and green hydrogen projects, data centers, industrial things out in West Texas. So it's not necessarily to power the people, people using that power. And I think that's a big point of contention for everyone who's watching this happen is so you telling me you're going to build a line through our property so that you can fund, power a crypto mining operation 200 miles away. So Burnet County has taken this pretty seriously throughout the process. And what they've done is they've just formed something called a regional planning commission. And I don't want to get too into the legal definitions of it, but what they've done is they've joined forces with the city of Burnet. So now you have two governments, the government of Burnet County and the city of Burnet's government joining forces to form this commission that might have more leverage and power when negotiating with the state and bigger players when it comes to this transmission line, but also many other projects that might help get roads built that aren't getting built, all sorts of things that require intergovernmental assistance.
I read more about the commission on the transmission line at DailyTrib.com. Now, I remember seeing on Facebook people talking about their mail being rifled through. Well, there was an arrest made recently from an independent contractor that was delivering the mail. Tell us more about this, Dakota.
Yeah, recently an independent mail carrier, somebody who's contracted, so they're not an official postal worker, was arrested on 4 different felony level charges related to stealing mail. There was theft of mail, there was fraud, there was abuse, credit debit card abuse of the elderly and normal charges. So apparently this mail carrier was taking people's mail. And we have confirmation that they were a mail carrier and that they were likely operating in Horseshoe Bay. But what's strange is the local U.S. Post Office in Marble Falls, who oversees this area, hasn't acknowledged whether or not they were working for them. So, you have this weird limbo we're in where we're trying to probably going to have to see the results of this investigation before we get confirmation on what exactly she was doing and who is responsible, for hiring this person that was stealing people's mail in Horseshoe Bay.
Is she being charged with state felonies?
Yes, there's a couple state jail felonies and third-degree felonies in there. So pretty serious charges. And Horseshoe Bay PD is the one that's taken this on. So we're going to follow that investigation and see where it goes. But like I said, like you said, we've been hearing about this a lot, as people's mail going missing. And it sounds like this could be connected to that.
All right, dailytrib.com/subscribe. And one more thing. Today is the last day of early voting as primary election coming up on Tuesday, March 3rd. So if you want to vote early, you got to do it today. Otherwise, you got to wait till Tuesday.
Yeah, please, if you don't know, the voting deal, if you're not quite familiar with it, go to DailyTrib, look at our voting guides. We have breakdowns of everywhere you can vote, what time you can, what you need to bring with you. We have profiles on all the candidates, and we have, forums you can watch and timestamps for when different candidates are talking. We put together a lot of stuff to try to educate voters before they hit the polls. So today's your last day to vote in the early portion. And then, like you said, Ben, on Tuesday, that's the last day. That's election day.
All right, you guys at Daily Trib doing a great job at keeping on top of the news. You, Macy, and Caden. So keep it up. And let's do this again next Friday as we go into March. This has been the Daily Beat on KBEY 103.9.